From the day I was born to the moment I became a teenager, I was always terrified of the Incredible Hulk.
Dr. Banner, belted by gamma rays, turns into the Hulk.
E.T. and glamour rays.
I know, big green guy, but, think about it. Imagine if, when dealt with great stress, your body forces you to transform into a big, hulking monster of either gray or green proportions, each with a completely different personality. That would be scary, even for an adult. I think that's why Stan Lee and Jack Kirby got it when they created the Incredible Hulk, or as I called him from when I was a kid, the Incredible Grump. Not a flattering name, I know, but hey, I grew out of that ages ago. The Hulk has gone through some great and not so great adaptations over the years. From the really great 1970s TV show from Kenneth Johnson and the TV movies that came from that, to the numerous cartoons, and also the many, many movies. These movies vary in reception, from critically acclaimed to mixed to bad. One of these many Hulk movies was the 2003 film directed by Ang Lee, just called Hulk.
My son is unique. That's why you can't relate to him. And because he is unique, the world will not tolerate his existence, will they?
Harper, get out!
You know what scares me the most? Is it when it happens? When it comes over me and I totally lose control. I like it.
I gotta confess, when I was 12, I only saw clips from this movie. I was even more scared than I was when I first heard of the Incredible Hulk. I never saw the movie beforehand, but I did hear about the terrible, terrible buzz and reception this movie got. This movie was hated for so many reasons, including the way the Hulk looks, the comic book style editing, which we'll get to it, the slow pace of the film, how long it takes for the Hulk to appear, and many, many, many others. But I'm here to tell you that besides the comic book style editing, which again, we'll get to it, every single thing about the 2003 Hulk film that so many people hated are the very things that I love about the movie.
So baby, so give me good love. So baby, so give me good love.
I'm the biggest hater. I hate the way that you walk, the way that you talk. I hate the way that you dress.
When I was a kid, I was always into the superhero stuff. I was waiting very impatiently for the action to come up and stimulate my senses. But as I grew older and watched the movies I wasn't allowed to watch, like Clerks, Evangelion, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, and especially the works of Spike Lee, I slowly began to gravitate towards the character stuff. So when I see Bruce Banner, or Krensler, talking to Betty Ross about whatever science mumbo-jumbo they're talking about, I get intrigued. What? Do you want the Hulk to show up in the first 2 seconds of the movie thrashing around? Is that what you want? Well, you won't get any story if you just get that. Speaking of which, the story! The year is 1966. Dr. David Banner, physician, scientist, is working for the military. He does a ton of experiments to create super soldiers. He is told not to experiment on human beings, but when he experiments on himself and then passes it to his son Bruce, the military shuts him down. Having felt that David created a monster in Bruce, he tries to kill him, but instead takes the life of his wife, Bruce's mother. Now, having grown up in foster care and after years of suppressing the memories of that tragic event, Bruce Banner, now named Krenzler, works with the daughter of the man who threw his father out, Betty Ross, to study tissue repair using gamma radiation and, say it with me, people, nanomachines, son! Jesus Christ, that game's story is so fucked. However, an accident in the lab causes him to get bombarded with nanomachines, known as nanomeds, and the gamma radiation. Thanks to that accident, his father's tampered genes, and also the childhood trauma, Bruce transforms into a big hulking monster with a mind of its own while under emotional stress. Meanwhile, Betty's father, Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross, played by Sam Elliott, is looking to put Bruce under custody for working in a similar field as his father. On top of that, Bruce's father is released and is looking to see his work and take back the power that Bruce has. You know, what I didn't understand, and still don't honestly, was how people got bored of this. Look at what I just told you, that's enough for a 2-hour movie. Heck, I'd say the movie should have been longer. I guess people were expected more of the Hulk stuff, you know, more of him getting chased around by the military. I feel like if you focus too much on the Hulk, like smashing stuff, and not on the characters, it would get too stimulating. I get easily overstimulated over this stuff. You know, it gets to the point where it kind of hurts. That's why I love the interactions with the characters, the philosophical conversations and the tension between these characters. Not only is the dialogue really good, thanks to writer James Schamus, but also the performances elevate the film. Oh, speaking of which, the characters. Bruce Banner is portrayed by Eric Bana. It is one of my favorite performances of the character ever. Yes, better than Bill Bixby, better than Mark Ruffalo, even better than Edward Norton, and I really liked his appearance in the 2008 film. I love Edward Norton as an actor. 25th Hour is one of my favorite movies of all time, though considering Spike Lee was the director, you know why. As for Eric Bana, his performance got to me because there are moments where Bruce becomes Bruce again, but mentally is still the Hulk, and his emoting is great. It's like his body has two minds at once, fighting each other, which was based on the Peter David run of the comics where Bruce had multiple personality disorder. I think there's a new scientific name for that now. I'll have to look it up later. Betty Ross is portrayed by Jennifer Connelly, and she's great. I like to think that she's the heart of the movie. She tries her darndest to understand the Hulk and to help Bruce, but is usually sidestepped by her father or Glenn Talbot, which we'll get to later. I like to think the reason why Bruce or Hulk don't try to hurt Betty is because she reminds him of his mother. Oh, Thunderbolt Ross, speaking of her father, Thunderbolt Ross, played by Sam Elliott, is excellent. He is the man who misunderstands the Hulk. He thinks that Bruce is the monster, and he'll put Bruce away by any means necessary if he takes him off. That's awesome. And Sam Elliott gives a great performance as the character. If there were sequels, and if Eric Bana, wanted to appear in the MCU as his version of Bruce, I would have loved to see Sam Elliott as Red Hulk, yo. While Josh Lucas was good as Glenn Talbot, I didn't like his performance as much as I did the other characters. It's too campy for me. And trust me, we will get to the editing, but alas, Josh Lucas was my least favorite performance in the film. I liked him in American Psycho, though. Nick Nolte portrayed the role of Dr. David Banner, Bruce's father. The name David Banner was actually a nod to the 1970s TV series. David Banner is the villain of the film. And the bit where he felt that Bruce was a monster was from a comic story called Crossroads, written by Bill Mantlo, but I like to think that Bill Mantlo plagiarized that from Barry Windsor Smith. I don't know how to feel about Dr. David Banner being the Absorbing Man. I mean, look at Nick Nolte. Doesn't he look like the Maestro, another Hulk villain? Or the scene where David absorbs his own blood. Don't you think he might become the Abomination? It's a little weird. The Absorbing Man is like the last villain I'd want the Hulk to square up on. Honestly, I really do think, I genuinely think that. The Absorbing Man? Really? You kidding me? Why didn't he become Grey Hulk, that's a thing. As for the performance though, Nick Nolte's great. He's like a mad scientist, but is also kind of like what Bruce might have become if he merely cared for himself. As for the Hulk himself, he's actually portrayed in both motion capture and voiced by Ang Lee. That's weird, but I never noticed that. Why would anyone notice that the director is playing the title character? Well, to be honest, I think he got the role real well. He might not be an actor, but he's really good at raging out, I guess. Most of the portrayals before and since then were played by either Lou Ferrigno, Fred Tatasciore, or whatever actor becomes Hulk in any movie. I think Mark Ruffalo is Hulk now, permanently. So, like, no more Lou Ferrigno. The music was originally going to be composed by Michael Dana, spelled with a Y instead of an I, a collaborator of Ang Lee. Before the Hollywood people listened to his music and was like, "Fuck no, baby!" and replaced him with Danny Elfman, fresh off the success of the first Spider-Man film. Danny Elfman's score is good. It's not as good as his other superhero scores, but it's certainly better than his score for Joss Whedon's Justice League and Avengers Age of Ultron. I never watched Multiverse of Madness, so I wouldn't know. Ang Lee specifically directed Elfman not to sound like Danny Elfman. He even kept some of the Michael Dana score for the parts where the ever-loving Hulk is running and jumping around. I kind of feel weird about praising Danny Elfman now after the allegations. But as a music head, I do feel that the music score is pretty good.
Hey, bro, you know that I be swagging. You should grow a beard. Osama bin Laden.
Alright. This is the part where I can kind of agree with the critics. Look, the comic book split screen stuff is stupid. It's the worst part of the movie. When Glenn Talbot gets blown to pieces, I just laugh. Kind of hurts the really great and serious story of the film. It's so aggressive that, again, I just laugh most of the time. The transition shots are really nice though. They really catch my eye. And when the scenes are like shot like a movie, it looks amazing. It's beautiful. These scenes are the ones where Ang Lee demands you take them seriously. And I like that. Alright, that's all I gotta say about the editing. Back to being positive now. I don't think anyone in 2003 was ready for something as thought-provoking as this. They bashed it for being too slow, the Hulk's look, so many other things, but hey, it's a lot better than people think. I'm so glad that tons of other people are seeing what I'm seeing. Granted, the reason why they're talking about it so positively is because of nostalgia. I'm different. I wasn't a kid when I watched Hulk. I was 18 when I first saw it. It's great. It's more of an art house movie than a superhero movie, especially more so than the superhero movies we see now. Granted, the flaws I have shown you in this film are still flaws. It's no Sam Raimi, it's no Richard Donner, it's no... I don't know, it's no Jon Favreau, I guess. It's not even a Tim Burton. It's Ang Lee. And I'm glad for it. I'm gonna play Chameleon Twist next. I'm out.